Hi everyone, welcome to our treasure home and Monday Night Live. So hi people in the chat, the TV watchers, and those who watch the replay. All right, let me get this in here. These things. All righty. So hi to the TV watchers, those in chat and those in replay. Thank you for being here. And all you know me is always busy, busy, busy. It makes me think of Santa Claus is coming to town. So yeah, got to get busy, busy, busy. Can y'all believe that? We'll start in a few minutes. It's October, November, December. Oh my goodness. It's like school starts and boom. So um last week I started with my series Situational Awareness, and we talked about things in the home, things about your home, how to sit down and just get still and quiet, learn the different sounds in your home, when the floor creaks, when the AC turns on and off, your refrigerator, how the ice automatically defrosts and everything, or if it automatically makes ice. Those little sounds. A freezer when it turns on and off. So, different sounds in your house and everything. So tonight I wanted to talk about how to make your house more safe. Hey Jane Doe, how are you doing? So I'll bring y'all around with me a little bit. We can clean the kitchen yet, but that's all right. So we're gonna walk around a little bit here. So most of the time y'all see the kitchen and what's behind me. I'm gonna show y'all. Here we go. All right. So right there, that chair. Now, I was telling y'all one last week. This was a few months ago. Rebecca and I was on the phone, and all of a sudden it was like someone just pulling the door. I mean, the door handle wasn't even turning. Hey, Sam Lynn. It was just someone like doing like this. I mean, now nobody can get in the basement. So the chair's been here ever since we've been in here for safety reasons. But it's still there. Now, what I did, now I'll have to put a new one there. So this time I'll move this chair a little bit closer, and I'm gonna tell you why. But up here, see if you can see it. Oh, there we go. Right here's a piece of tape. Well, when you first put it on, you can hear that stickiness. So it wears off once, it does wear off. So that you'll need to replace. Okay. So that is one thing. But if you notice, that whole space is clear. And we used to have a table inside right there, and it was that outdoor table, but we had it right there and everything. And when we cleaned up last year, I just told them to toss it. Just toss it. We didn't need it. We couldn't put it outside or whatever. Everything. So the hallway is clear. And that's purposely for us. Because we know now, it's, where that chair sits. We know that hallway is clear. So we can come downstairs. Now, right, cool. So the hallway is clear. I'm going to set the trash. Now on that door, I'm going to show y'all. Yes, my Christmas bells are still there because they make sound. It makes a sound. Learning sounds. Even it's just that little bit of sound, you know what it is. Let's see, it has a deadbolt and it has this right here. So we already know that works when someone tries to open that door. Another thing you could do if you have this bathroom door, if you got two doors like that, you can leave that open. If someone tries to get into this door, well, not only that, but this door will block that door also. How do we know? Because when we're cooking, now I will be sitting down every so often. Because when we're cooking, and we have the front door open, so airflow, even the back door and the front door open, it will catch that door. So we already know that's what it's going to do. Let me just turn that light off. All right. So one thing you can do, the door that you don't use as often, that's not your main door that you come in and out of all the time. So a lot of people go around, have a back door. I'll do the back door here in a minute. But if you have a front door that, a lot of people nowadays have a den, or they come through the garage, through the kitchen and everything. And the front door is really not used that much. So my door creaks loud. It's my bell. That's good. So, so the door that you don't use as often, you can sit there, and I learned this a long time ago. Yeah, I would say as a trap or something, but something that you can know that you're aware of when something happens like that. Now, in that apartment I used to live in, it was just one door. And then we had a patio, but we were on the second floor. Now, I learned this trick from watching TV shows, and I really don't remember what TV show it was, but when you go to leave, put a piece of paper up on top. And when you close the door, it will catch that piece of paper. Now, sometimes you won't see the paper fall, but the thing is, remember that paper's there, so when it falls, it will fall on the floor. Now, if it's already on the floor, when you open that door and then you know somebody's been in your apartment or your home or something else like that. Besides the obvious signs of break-ins. But that's what we used to have problems with maintenance people all the time. I don't care what apartment I lived in. I always had problems with maintenance coming in doing something. So we learned that trick a very long time ago. And so, that is one way especially the front door. If you don't use it that much, you just kind of be surprised what people sit and watch and do. Now, on my Instagram, years ago, when Anastasia and I would sit outside, it was Spectrum. I think it was Spectrum because they changed from whatever name it is, Spectrum, whatever. It was a cable company, and you think about that when you like to watch the show. And this is oldies, but the A-Team or like Magnum PI or some like the newer shows. Well, there's a new Magnum PI that's out there, NCIS, different shows, and they have that white van that's unmarked out there. That's always the giveaway. It's a giveaway. A white unmarked van. Well, everybody looks for that. What about the van or whatever has the logos on it? Do y'all think about that? Yeah. Think about those. Those people are supposed to have badges and ID numbers and everything. Someone comes up and knocks on your door and they say they're from the cable company or whatever, and you haven't called anybody from there for service or anything. That's a big giveaway. But some people fall for that trap, or the gas company, or the electric company. They don't even do that anymore, especially around here, because everything is all electronic. They can just stand and sit in their car and point the little electronic thing and get the reading off of it, or it goes straight to the home office or whatever. And it's like, so things like that. Look and see if about your meter. Does someone need to come read the meter like they used to? We knew exactly what day. Growing up, we knew exactly what day the power company guy would come and read the meter and everything, because we always say hello. They're always outside or something or another. So, but nowadays, they know that's changed. Look for that. So this thing is scary. Yes, it is. They do that here over here, and there's this big old sign out here that says no soliciting. Yeah. So, yeah, and we don't either. And we got a camera in the kitchen window, and we have the camera back here, and that's the window out here. So, we can see pretty much, and it's like, and we know there's nobody. We don't have family that comes over. We don't have friends that. My friends are all y'all. That's all y'all. My friends are all over the country, so and all over the world. So, you know, I don't have a camera. I have to peek up my blinds. I'm gonna show you how to do that without being seen. So, uh, so when someone knocks on our front door, that's an alert for us. What's going on? Who is it? Yes, I got the peephole, but most of the time, by the time I can get up and get to the front door to look at the peephole, they're gone anyway. So I just sit here. I'll just text somebody knocking on the door. So they'll look at the camera. They've got it already up anyway. So it's like, we sit here and be quiet. Now, the one knock that gets me the most, and it irritates me the most, because it's been used so much, is that, and it's like, you really, people, we know that knock. We know a friend doesn't knock like that or anything. And if someone was coming over, they're going to call first, hey, we're in the area, or hey, I'm coming by, I'll be at this such and such time and everything. So, that knock is just, it's old. It's just really old. So, if someone's coming over to visit or whatever, or, and everything. So, that are some key points there. So, all right. So now I'm gonna do the back door. All right. So I can also show y'all. So, shoes and a thing beside them. But we know that's where they're at. That's where my son's shoes are at for work. We know that's a clear path. Like I said, we leave the light over the stove on so we can see. So, but I do move this soda so that it's out of everybody's way. All right. Let me turn around here. All right, so here's the back door. I had that up because if I don't, the blinds right there, there's enough space right there that somebody could look right in here and look and see what we have. All right, so take this like this. You see these holes in these blinds? So see, if I stood right here, that's a nice inch gap right there. So somebody could, if I can see out, they can see in. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But see these holes right here in the spine, right there. That's how you could sit here, and if you don't want to be seen, you can take and move your head at an angle each different way. And the thing cool is you can go up, you can go down, and you can move from one side to the other. Now, I taught myself how to do that years and years ago. I was Anastasia's age. So, and yes, on this door, bells. They may not ring like bells, but they make a noise. So as you see, that has the window panes in it. So that that's the door. Oh, somebody really wanted to break in, but I'm the first line of defense, so I don't have the whistle. But I'm gonna show y'all things. Yes, it can be closed the opposite way. We can turn them up and we can turn them down. I've heard that before about having them face up, and I've done it both ways. I've gone outside, and to me, it's no difference. Having them down because that's not flushed against the door. It still has that gap. But I did test it last week when I came home from the doctor because I knew that was there and I knew the current was there. But I leaned up because I was putting the key in anyway because I wanted to see, was that really blocking gap right there? So if somebody wanted to look in, what would they see? What they see? They see the material right there. Now the sheet I have up there, I took it down because it's getting cooler now. But that door and the front door, when the sun is shining, there's gaps. We told them that when we moved in and everything. The head maintenance guy said, all you need is weather stripping. I'm not doing it. You could do it on your own. We went to the office, told her what he said. You can't do that on your own. The maintenance has to do it. Well, I think I put 5 work orders in and they never would come fix it. So now, in the right time, you can feel that cold coming through. In the summertime, you feel the heat coming through. So what I did was I put up a fitted sheet in a way that it would just keep that heat coming in. So, but my son has to take it down when he goes to work in the morning. Yeah, I know. So what we did was put the one corner over the edge of the door, so even when it closed, it filled in that gap. So that helped a lot. Let me show y'all that window. All right, and take y'all again. Now I don't open the blinds on this window. So here's this window. Now this doesn't go all the way over. So we put this sheet right there to cover that corner. But when at nighttime, when I turn the light off, the street light shows a shadow this way. Well, the porch light, not the street light, the porch light. So then I can see. So I've gotten to know where I'm like, okay, am I seeing something? I'm not seeing something. But I have to remember my big planters are right here at this window. So somebody would have to stand in that planter in order to do anything because they just can't. Now, something I was going to come over here and get while I was standing up. Oh, sorry. So, and there we go. So I've got those the two big planters and the whiskey barrels out there. So they would have to step in those, and you would hear, I would hear, I would hear it. I definitely would hear it if somebody was out there. Now we had, oh my goodness, so this is about like 5 years ago because it's been that while. It's been that long because the back porch light is always on. Our front porch light is always on. The reason why is because we'll forget to turn them on before we go to bed or when it gets dark. So I remember that. That was a routine thing growing up. Turn the porch light on as soon as it starts getting dark, and when you got up, you turned it off. But here, I don't understand why people don't use their porch lights because it's dark. If you don't have that on, you don't see you standing at the door at nighttime whatsoever. The back, maybe because we got a street light out there by the mailboxes and all. But yeah, so we just leave our porch lights on. So one night, my son was checking. He goes, "Why isn't the porch light? This is the back porch." He goes, "Why is that not on?" And so we flipping the switch and everything. Someone had taken the cover, and he went to touch that cover, and it almost fell and hit the porch. He had grabbed it that quick. Someone had taken the cover off and undone the light bulb. So it's like, hmm. So, there's the theory of who we thought it was don't live here no more. So I was like, yeah, somebody trying to be sneaky about something. So always check your porch lights and everything to make sure they're working and everything because, like I said, being a PI, people watch and you just don't know who's watching. So, like I said, the Spectrum truck. Is it cable out there? I'm quite sure you could always call the cable company, whichever's in your area, and say, "Hey, do y'all have a truck out in this area? Out in this area," and just give them a general area or street or something other, and they should be able to tell you yay or nay because people have stuff to work on and all. So, and that's always something that's in my mind, especially when you watch cop shows. Detective shows because the hard hat and some people don't know if it doesn't have lettering on it, that's a key sign to like, hey, something's not right. I need to keep an eye on this. So we're going to be out doing the outside stuff next week, not literally, but I'll be talking about that. So we're inside our home. All right, so we've got our door secure, windows secure, everything's secure. So you're sitting there, all right, you upstairs, you hear noise, you know, sometimes, breaking the glass does wake people up, sometimes it doesn't. Some people have pew-pews and some people don't. Some people don't like them. I was training when I'm growing up so they don't bother me. But you got to think a little bit about outside the box because, all the scary movies and this, that, and the other show, oh, run to the kitchen and get a knife. You can run to the kitchen that fast. I sure can't. Well, I'm down here now, not maybe, but I still can't run that fast. I can't get over there that fast. Oh, that's what I wanted to get. Hold on, let me go get the whistle. All right. Oh, I didn't get the other thing. Anyway, all right. So I have several things. This is, while I'm in bed, I'm laying there. If, that, of course, I'll hear that glass or I hear something. Well, I have a whistle because we were talking about they're upstairs, they're sound asleep, they may not hear anything because it takes 30 seconds for the alarm If you don't put the code in, it'll start blaring. Okay, I know you do. Yes. Now, some states still require a license. We have open carry and constitutional carry here. Having a dog is a good defense. Yes, and a dog is good. You'd be surprised what a cat do too. With dogs, they'll let you know. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we cannot have dogs. Well, one is allergies, but the main reason is we're not paying an extra $150 a month for a pet because that's what they want to charge. So, all right, so inside. Hey, bae! People across the street when I walk with Lucy. Yeah, see? They know. They know that dog is going to protect you. Have a whistle. Sometimes you can get to the whistle, but the reason why I have this whistle is because if something happens and they don't upstairs, my son and daughter-in-law don't hear it, I can take this whistle and blow it, and then it's going to hurt somebody's ears. So that's one thing to have. If have it, underneath your pillow or somewhere on your nightstand or somewhere where you can get to it easy. Next is this nice flashlight. Woohoo! So it just has bright and then light. But this thing is heavy. The batteries in there make it heavy. And it's probably heavy without the batteries in there. But having a flashlight, I wouldn't say swing it or anything like that, because then, they're going to say you got a weapon and all this other stuff. Shine it in their eyes. Just shine it. And don't, be afraid. Just do all this stuff with it and everything. Shake it around, If you have a strobe light, that's even better. If it strobes, because you've got the upper hand. They don't. They don't know the inside of your house. So they don't know the inside of your house. Like I said, go around, walk around blind. No, I'm gonna show y'all, and I'm gonna start from the kitchen, so that. All right. Now I have my eyes closed. Of course, I have my cane so I don't fall. But I know from here to here it's clear, and I can walk right up to my chair, find my chair. And then sit down. So, like I said, close your eyes and learn where things are. The best thing to do is take a photo with your eyes, like you're taking a photograph. Look, and in your mind, go, okay, this is here, that's there. I know the shoes are right there and right there, and I know the chair's right there on the door. So when I walk, I know where I can walk around and things like that. The trash can, we move that all around all the time in the kitchen. So most of the time we try to keep it out of the kitchen, right in that corner. But sometimes when you're cooking, it's in the kitchen and we scoot around. Having a hand belt on each window ledge will warn you. That's right. There you go. That's a good one, bae. Now they have those things that you can put in your windows. I've tried those. It don't work. Anyways, unless you have, you pay for alarm security or whatever. But I like Bae's idea. Yeah, put something on the window sills. And then, if it's lifted up and they knock it over, because they're not going to see it, you can hear it. It will wake you up. So those are some tips about getting your home safe on the inside. So, I know on that living room window, it does have a bar that comes down. So it's like, but it doesn't go all the way like it's supposed to. But it's there enough that nobody's gonna be able to lift that window up. Now the kitchen window. Here's a window. Now here and the window underneath is at the basement. So this is the basement window down here. Okay, so here's this window. Well, it has the little metal thing and it dips down because it's the window. Why they have it like that, I have no idea. Now I did see on somebody else's window that they could slide it open and close and lock it or whatever. I think ours is just solid now. I haven't looked at it in a while. So, but so if someone comes up at the nighttime, even with the porch light, most likely they might miss that step and fall into a divot. And that's like, 16, almost 2 feet right there. And I haven't measured, but I mean, that's a good, yeah, that's about 24 inches right there, 2 feet right there. So somebody's going to get hurt if they fall on that. They used to have that great big bush, and then when it died, they took it away. So I'm starting to get comfortable now with the window open, with the blinds open and everything, because I sit here with that open and I train myself, even if someone's, the sounds. Now that tree right there, the branches are like really long and everything. So I know if someone tries to walk up that branch is just going to hit them in the face. So, but most of the time I'll sit there and watch, and people aren't paying any attention to anything, and that's how most people are. They don't pay attention. Unexpected ankle breaker. Yeah. So, and then something else you can do, like with the bells that Ray's talking, you can take a string and hang them up. It's like the little metal bells, like plastic metal bells, but they still ring like at Christmas time. Hang them up and then let it dangle just enough below, not in the middle. Where now it depends on your windows. Now our windows have the little flip things, so it's gonna be hard. But the old ones, if you have the one in the middle, and if don't put it right there in the middle, put it on the end, because when someone's breaking into your house or whatever, they're gonna really look for where either they're gonna knock the whole window out or they're gonna look for that little lever so they can pull. Think of Home Alone, and they put up the window and they fall in. So Home Alone is a great movie to sit there and go watch again. These days, things, it's like every time when we watched that movie, I was like, hey, we done that and we did that and that's what we did. And I used to do this a lot, and this was before that movie came out. When I had my own car and I would sit there, and I was like, so 18, 19 and everything, working, or, I was going to school, college, community college, but I don't know if we saw it on something else where we had the idea, entering home at night. Do you usually carry anything on your keychain? Yes. I'll get to there. So I would sit there and take a stuffed animal and a hat or whatever and make it look like somebody else was sitting in my car. It's like, so things like that. When you think of Home Alone, you think of when he did that, the blow up dolls and everything, and made them look like they were dancing and everything, and somebody was at home. I've done that too. We've left the TV on and everything, and before I closed the door, and it's like, hey, so and so, and just saying a name. We'll be back in a few minutes. People always thought somebody was home. They never knew, and they still don't. We do that now, If they go, all right, so I don't go out grocery shopping anymore. I haven't since 2020 or before then. And then, hey, Joy and Donnie. So, and so when they go grocery shopping, Anastasia's in school, so I'm home with her at school. When they go to the doctor, I'm home. When they get home, I go to the doctor. So someone's always here. And we coordinate like that. Now I know sometimes, family wants to go out, you go out and have a good old, everybody gets out and everything. But so you can set up certain things, arrange things in a way that you know what it looks like when you leave. Not nobody else. If it's moved, you know. All right, so you're inside your house, you're laying there, you're asleep, and all right, so you're upstairs. All right, you're even a single floor house. You don't even have to, not even if you have upstairs or downstairs, a single floor apartment. I've had those too. And you're laying there, and the bedroom is in the back, and the living room is in the front, and you hear the glass breaks. You know somebody's in there. A lot of people, the first thing they do was yell out, "I know you're in there." No, that to me, now that's my opinion. Do not yell. If you can quietly pick up the phone and call 911, go ahead. One of the best things you can do, if you've heard that glass break and you're in the bedroom and you hear it break, get your phone, dial 911, and just leave it there. Don't say anything because they're trained to sit there. They know then something's going on because you can't respond to them at all. So they'll start hearing what's going on in the background. All right, so they're looking, and a lot of people, that's the first thing. I'm going to go confront this person. They got my stuff and they're looking at my stuff and everything. Stuff is stuff. I know insurance can be a pain, and sometimes, you know, when you're struggling, we let some things go. But, you know, AT&T doesn't have a good tracking on you now. I know, but 911 records everything. They have to. That's a legal thing that they have to do. So, all right. So someone's gotten in. You call 911. You left the phone there. If you can, and if you have that feature on your phone, so I can on my phone, if I'm talking to somebody, I can have this push the side button and it goes dark. Like they don't even know I'm on the phone. And I've tested that out. How many seconds does it go? You can put your phone on a timer, and fix all that. Some do have texting now with 911. If you can text that fast, by all means, start start texting and everything. Sometimes they just want to get in and get stuff and get out. They don't want a confrontation. But all right, so now you're hearing them coming down the hallway. Okay, so this one's kind of like those people's home and he doesn't care or she doesn't care. They're coming. All right, so now here in Ohio, we have stand our ground, which is you can defend yourself, period. You can defend yourself. So check with your state what laws are there and everything. Like I said, you've got a flashlight, especially if it's a strobe one, you can sit there and you know how to work your flashlight. Put your hand like that to cover the light. And when they open that door, you're going to go right in their face, right in their eyes. I've got to go get it because I got to show y'all this. And this came out really, this has been out for a long time. But these lights, these sticky lights, they, you stick up on the wall, emergency lights in case the power goes out and everything. It goes through your palm. Yeah, that's a bright flashlight. So, put it up to where, nobody's going to see it. All right, so I'll put it up here. Yeah, it's a bright flashlight. So, it's going to hurt somebody's eyes. Small cans of hairspray. Oh, yes, you can. That's right. Cheaper than pepper spray and just as good. Yes, have one beside your bed. Those Aquanet small hairspray cans we used to carry on. And that's good because you, all right, they get close. You're going to pop it off, pop that top off, have it ready. They get up close to you. It's sticky. Why do you think girls wear, we wear hairspray? It keeps our hair, a way we want it styled. And the wind does when it blows. It doesn't blow it all kinds of ways. I have pepper spray on my keys, but I don't even know if it's legal. Yeah, those things they sell all the time, and it's like, I used to have one. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's like 20 years ago, I guess or so. And finally, a police officer friend said, that's illegal to have on your keychain. I'm like, why do they sell them then? Because we had no idea. But that was in the state of Virginia. So, like I said, check your laws. Call the local law. They've got the numbers listed and everything. You call for information. They should be able to tell you. Can you have that or not? There was one time that I had pepper spray and the wind changed and it blew back on me. Yeah, it does. Be prepared. If you're going to use that and the wind is blowing, it will blow back on you. If you get it on your hands, don't touch your face. How do I know? Because I've done it. And it's awful, especially if it gets in your mouth. So, yeah, those are some of the things you can do. I haven't seen one of those small things of hairspray unless they have them at the Dollar Tree. Yeah. So, they're about this big. You can use the pump, but the aerosol you just spray and go psh. Now, I do have a can of Lysol over there, or disinfectant spray. That works just as well. Hairspray is better because it's sticky. It's, it's sticky. Like you spray in your hair and it's going to stick your hair to where you want it to be. So it's sticky. And it burns. If, us females, so some guys use hairspray too. When you spray like this, you better close your eyes because if it gets in your eyes, it's going to burn. So if you got your makeup on and it gets in your eyes, then you got to do makeup again because then y'all crying and everything. Crochet hooks on your keychain. Put them between my fingers and there you go. So I got lots of stuff on this table that nobody will ever think of anything whatsoever. Okay. But this light, I'm going to face it this way because it's bright. So, it's bright like that. So it will definitely shine in somebody's face. It's going to blind them because I can't, the flashlight doesn't bother me. That right there, that will, definitely it's like, oh, then you see lights all the time. So you're in your home, they come in, you got 911 on the phone because their first question is, 911, what's your emergency? And you can't say anything. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can whisper. But sometimes you can't. And then they'll go quiet. Well, if you can't answer them, they might go quiet. They may, try to get you to say something or another. But, when you're quiet, they're trained like, okay, this is emergency. You can't say anything. So you're laying in bed. Okay, what if you didn't have hairspray? If you don't have a flashlight? All right, now they're in your room. Okay, what do you have beside you that you put down? All right, so you either got a backboard right here for your bed, or you got a nightstand. You got stuff in your nightstand or on your nightstand. TV remote, that corner right there. You don't have to sit there and be all kung fu, fooey and all that. There are certain spots on the body, and as EMT, I know this. You got pressure points here. All right, you got the carotid artery here. Your pressure points here. Your groin area, right through there. Girls, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Forget about hitting a guy in the no-no spot in their private area because they're already prepared for it. They are braced for that already. Don't hit them there. The windpipe, exactly, right here, right in the windpipe. I have a bowling pin. It won't work. So there are some areas on the body that guys are prepared for. Somebody wants to hurt them there. Even girls, I sit there and, criminals are girl, male or female, So sometimes, what you think is the obvious place to hit is not the obvious place to hit. Um, so we've been teaching Anastasia. Poor thing. They roughhousing. We were teaching Anastasia how to defend herself, and she's 11, so this has been a while ago. She was like 4 or 5 and everything, and she was playing with her, defending herself with her daddy, and she got him right in the throat. There was nothing else. You're teaching your kids, you better be prepared when you're teaching somebody how to defend themselves. She goes, I don't want to do that. I said, well, you also got to learn not to hit your daddy in the no-no spot. I said, most guys already know you're coming for that because that's what girls are taught to do. So I've been showing her different videos how to defend herself if somebody grabs her certain ways. So in your home, if you can, they've got in your home. Now, some states you have to hide everything until they come after you. If you lay in your bed, some people freeze. That's just the way it is. You either fight, flight, or you freeze. If you can get underneath your bed, if you can get in the closet, go for it, because then that's still another barrier. But keep the stuff with you. Like keep your flashlight with you, whatever. A bar of soap and a sock could be your best weapon. I know. That's something to think outside the box. All right, so you remote control. Now this one has pointed edges. That hurts. It hurts me, but it will. It will hurt. Now I sit here file my fingernails. Most people, all right. So some people might have it beside their bed before they go to, well, that's the last thing, maybe do that a little bit before you go to bed and put that there and everything. That's something you could use. It's sharp. I have a pen, and I got these 2 types of pens. Well, I can take this part off, it pokes. So they got in your house, they're in your bedroom, and now it's close combat. And that's it. You done everything in your power, and it depends on where you live, how fast the police can get there. Here, I still say probably 5 minutes or less, but I'm just like, to me, I would have learned to know how to do things to keep myself safe than wait on something that's going to take 5 to 10 minutes because they've had to be at another call and they were finished taking that, or they, pull someone over for speeding or whatever, and they're tied up with that, and then, whatever. So now you're in close combat um, kind of situation. You shine the light in their eyes. It it can if you use a flashlight and they're blinded and everything, push them down and run. And if they trip you up because they have other things in mind to do, look around on the floor what you can grab. Um, for some reason or another, what about the ear part of your glasses? Yes, that that's right here. You can always get new glasses. Um, you know, um, Now one thing you can do is do reverse psychology on them. Because if they're in that part intent that much to do harm, physical harm, um, and now most of them when people are fighting, that just fuels them even more. Um, One thing I train some girls to do is if you go just dead weight, like you, all right, so when someone faints, they're unconscious. That's dead weight. So if someone's got you, and so if they got put their arms around you like this, just go dead weight, just like you passed out. So now they have to hold you up because either they're just gonna let you fall to the ground or something another like that. Yeah. Um. So you got that, and then you just go dead weight. So now they have to hold you up. So now their defense or their what now they've got to do something else. So if they're behind you, step on their toes, kick them in the shin. If they still got you like this and you're dead weight, you can go down. And as you go down, you can go down and you train yourself how to do that. Have someone, have a friend help you and everything, or a family, just go dead weight. All right, so don't actually step on the toes, but do that, in the shin. When if that doesn't work, start going down because then they have to go down. So as you're going down, they're going down. Try to swing yourself around because they're gonna have to let go one way or the other. They're gonna let go. So, one of the girls in the high school asked me, "Well, what if they're sitting there, you know, they want to do something else, and you fight?" I'm like, "I know what you're talking about." I said, "Do reverse psychology on them. You know, they want to sit there and do that. Like, come on, baby. I haven't had it in a long time, and just freak their minds out because they're gonna go, huh?" You know, it's like I'm like because I had guys that would sit there like, "Why you PI? Why you doing security? You shouldn't do." I'm just like, "Go ahead, try it. Try to see if you can get me down." And I had one guy thought he could get me down, and it was so funny. Their feet up and off the ground, exactly. And so after our shift and everything, he started horsing around. I said, "Oh, you think you can get me down?" Or and everything. And so so I forgot how we did end up on the ground. And it was funny because he was married, and so he got me. I think I was down, and he was on top or something or another, And all I said was, "Oh, this is the way I like it." And boy, he was up so fast. He was up so fast. It was so funny because he was like, "Oh, that's not what I was trying to do." I was like, but I got you off of me, didn't I? And they all started laughing. They go, "We have never seen a girl do that." I'm like, it's all about how you change the perspective of things. I knew what he was, woo, and I knew I was going down, so I had to change my thinking about what was I going to do. I got down, I'm down, especially now, on the floor. That's it. So someone picks me up, or I try to get to a chair. So making them uncomfortable, yeah, exactly. Um, Now I've heard stories of um, children start singing Bible songs, quoting a Bible verse to them. Um, or think of the first song that comes to your mind. I just thought about "You Light Up My Life." You remember that song? You light up my life, and start singing because they a lot of them want that fear, and that's what they prey on is the fear. If they can get you so afraid that you can't move or defend yourself, or it's like, oh my goodness, yes, it's still going to be a trauma, but think of scenarios. That's what we did growing up as kids. Right? What if this happened? Then this happened. What can we do here? Um, so we're gonna, I've got some more stuff to show you. So, like Faye was saying, okay, I do have my crochet hooks here. Okay, I've got all kinds of stuff around. So, this, if you have long sleeves on, just tuck it in. All right. Same thing with a pen. Um, and everybody knows a knife, a scissors, something sharp, and a lot of people are, the criminals know that you're going to choose something sharp or something another. Um, Plastic, you know, this is smooth, but something like this, you've got it in your hands, it gives you a better fist. Um, I've got earrings here. If you got a pair of earrings that are on the table, now that pointy thing it hurts for a reason, and it's supposed to go through the hole in your ear. Even a notebook, if you got a notebook, you know, the rings on that, and the metal rings, if you make a noise, if you hear them, and that'd be something else to do. Um, so you hear them coming down the hallway or something, you got something that you can make a noise with, start making noises. You're defending yourself, but throwing them off at the same time because you're trying to give the police time to get to you, to get to your place, what's going on there, so that, they can get in and grab them without you getting harmed or your family getting harmed. Um, a roll of quarters can keep you from breaking your knuckles. Oh, that's good to know. Seam rippers, what more than just seams? So, all right, yes. So think about what you have, what you got around when you go to bed. Look at what you have, okay? Yeah, fingernail clippers and toenail clippers. Um, yeah, that will work too. If you've got, I got stuff in the drawer. but I can't get to the store. I've got a tablecloth on the table. So I have a tablecloth on this table. So I can't get to that drawer. But I won't be able to get to that drawer anyway, even if someone came in that door, because y'all see, it's the door, there's my bed. And it's like, okay, so now I gotta really think outside the box. The flashlight, the other light, the whistle. This whistle, I don't want to blow it too loud. It's loud. It can be really, really loud. So when you have a whistle and you take a deep breath and you go, and you blow, it can be really loud. That's a defense for you to get them, if they got something in their hands, they gonna drop it, cover their ears. So while you're there occupied doing something else, that's your time. You can push them, get them down on the ground, whatever. To me, it's not playing hero. So if you can, by all means, can get them down and everything and hold them till the police get there. That would be helpful. But if not, just enough so you can get out of that situation. Like I said, I've got my canes. So this cane, I used to have outside with me in Anastasia all the time. Like I said, I used to throw a baton when I was in school, but I still can do it with this cane. And it's just practice. And go through my fingers. And I'm like, people, when I walk, go out and they, oh, you got two canes. Yes, it's for balance. It's definitely for balance. But now I control it with my left hand somewhat because I don't practice that much with my left as I do with my right. And that's just, that's not because I write left-handed, but I do this with my right hand. So, and you don't have to have a cane, get something small and just practice, because that way, it's something you've got to grab and you can start, and then go to a Dollar Tree, pick up a plastic, and just move it around and do both hands instead of just your dominant, which I don't know why my right hand is dominant when it comes to that. I used to do both hands. So, there we go, things you can do at home. All right, this pen, it doesn't write anymore, but you got the point. See, noise. And it will sit there and it will just kind of like, if they're not expecting it, make a noise. This has the eraser on the thing, but there's no more ink in it. So I'm just like, oh, I'll just use it that way. And then another thing that you can do, and some people don't think of, is if you've got lotion right here, and they get up close, if you can do it quick enough, pick a big glob of lotion in your hand. Have a good night, day. And then, when they come up, you smear it on their face. Because then they, all right, what they do, they got to be occupied doing something else. So it gives you time to push, get away. Push and get away. So, I'm trying to think of other things inside. Besides, like the barrier of your doors. Now that's that tape at that door. It's lost the stickiness. But something that will make a noise when the door opens so you can hear it. Let's see here. Go over that. It was something else I wanted to go over about inside. Because we were talking about the bells and everything. So yes, even inside, if you got your keys beside you, if you like have keys inside, and some people have a nightstand or a little cup thing they put their keys in. Learn to know where all the squeaky places are in your house. If you can get up and get to that, you know, that's what I told the girls years ago. Put that key between your finger. You know, that hurts. And don't go for the most obvious places because some people are prepared for that. Not only good for strangers trying to break in, but teenagers trying to sneak out. Yeah, that's so funny. Yep, teenagers trying to sneak out, but then they already know everything is at, so they can maneuver around that too. So, all right. Now, going back to the movie Home Alone, when he sit there and put those buckets of mud or whatever at the window, so when the guy came through the window, he stepped in those. That was hilarious. I love that part. Now, we did have some things set up like that. Well, that window was right there, so they try to come through it. It's going to be the TV, so I'm gonna hear it anyway. Like I said, they want to try that window. Be my guest because you know. But when Constitution Carry came around and our governor signed it, it got really quiet around here. It's nice and quiet now around here. Every once in a while, especially like 4th of July with the firecrackers, you hear somebody shooting some other stuff off. But it's quiet right now, so I'm very thankful for that. But we're prepared. This is stuff I learned, growing up, teaching myself how to do. So here is one reason why we did it. Well, as kids, we did it because we liked playing superheroes or, army or cops and robbers or could we sneak around and how this would work and what, each scenario is different. So I was 16. It was the summertime. We just got out of school, so it was like in June. It wasn't too hot, but it wasn't hot to where we. Let me think. We had the AC on. We probably did because we had fixed the windows. Because we didn't have the crank windows anymore. We had the windows that slide. No, just slide them up and down. And I don't think we had it open. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So, my best friend and I were in my room, and best way to do this. Well, kind of made it bigger. Should have made it bigger. How about that? Anyway, y'all get the gist in just a minute. And then right here was okay. So I know this will probably be backwards. All right. So my parents' house. Here's the living room. All right. So we had the living room. You walk in, and then down the hallway is a bathroom, a front bedroom, then this bedroom, and there was a door from this bedroom into the kitchen. So So actually you could just kind of like walk around in a circle. So, all right, so this bedroom I had, my sister had this bedroom, my brother had this bedroom, and back over here was my parents' bedroom because we built on. They built on the den and the bedroom up down here. So the back door was here now. The den had a side door, and then we still had the front door. Okay, so right here, my bedroom had two windows. One faced this way, one faced the back. This one faced the backyard. Well, right here was the fence, so it lined the house right here. And so one night, so this window right here, not the one that faced the backyard. So we're sitting there watching TV, and my best friend, she goes, "Can the dog see in the window?" I'm like, "Huh? What are you talking about?" Because she nudged me. She was laying on the bed, like this, looking at TV. I'm sitting on the floor, and I'm not paying attention. It just caught her eye. She goes, "I think someone's looking in the window." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Look." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." All right, so that window, so like I said, there's 3 feet off the ground because that's how they built the houses for the crawl space. And then, it's the floor. So those windows were like 7 feet off the ground, easy. And so he had, and the grate was right there underneath that window because you could open it up and close it so the air would flow underneath the house. So he took his foot, and I tested this out. You could, put your foot there, put your hands up on the brick right there, and pull yourself up. So I'm just like, okay. So she goes, "Can the dog look in the window?" I'm like, "No, the windows are too high." And she goes, "Look, there was somebody looking in the window." I said, "All right." I said, "Don't you want something to drink?" I said, "I got to go to the bathroom. Why don't you go get something to drink?" So that got us out of the bedroom. So as we got in the hallway where the person couldn't see, ran into, so I grabbed the baton because I think it was in the living room or something. So we run into the den and tell my dad, and my mom, somebody's looking in the window. He goes, "Oh, no, it's not your imagination." I said, "How can everything be my imagination when 2 of us done saw it?" So my mom got after him. She goes, "You better go out there with those girls so nobody hurt them." I said, "Ain't nobody gonna hurt me. They're gonna get hurt themselves." So we went out the side door because, they couldn't see. So he goes, I said, "I've got the baton." So we went out the side door. So by the time I have no shoes on, I get around and we get to the front of the house, the guy's running down the road. So what did I do? I took that baton and I swung that thing, and it got his leg, and he fell. And by the time I was almost at him, grabbed my baton, and I yelled. Everybody on the street heard me and down the next street because I told him, "If you come back," I said, "you're going to be wearing this around your neck or something." I said, "Because you're not," I said, "don't you come back." So what did my best friend and I do the next day? We did it that night. The next day, during the day, we put our plan into play. We planned, all right, what if he comes back? What are we going to do? What are we going to say? I think the window was open because I think that's how she heard him. I said, "Well, we're just going to sit there and do the same thing. But this time we made a plan. If he comes back, you're going to we had a wooden bat. Just grab my brother's bat because we could go through." And so we had it all set up, where the bat was, where the baton was. This time, We didn't have the dogs. We had 3 dogs at the time. We didn't have the dogs in the living room with us. They were in the living room with my parents. So, here we are, sitting here. This is what we're going to say. If he happens to come back and you notice he's standing there, one of us is going to say the same thing. I got to go to the bathroom, or I need a glass of water or something like that. And then who's going out which door? Are you going out the front door, or are we going out the side door or the back door? And we did that. We made that plan, and then we sat there during the day. Okay, one of us said time, and then all right, we got up and how fast we could get outside. Now we still had our pool in the backyard, so even with the floodlights on that side of the pool, you still couldn't see if somebody was there because it threw a shadow. And I'm like, okay, so this time what we did is we had codes. We, this between us to say whatever, and so we could go into our little speech about what we wanted to get up and go do and everything. And then if we got up and went into the den, all we could say was like either here, now, whatever. And I would just call one of the dogs. I call the dogs to come with me. So this time, that sucker came back the next night. He was a brave person. Yeah, but that's not the only time. All right, so we're going to go. You were definitely meant to be that security job. Wasn't? Yeah, so it's all about sounds, learning what's going around you. What does this look like when it's dark? What does it look like when it's light? What does this sound like if somebody's doing this to the house or the window, or just learning, sitting and listening. Have someone go outside and mess with the window, try to get it open so you know what that sounds like. And then do the same thing for them also. So I had that. They were ready. My dad was ready this time. He was so mad. I was like, I always say he's back or whatever. And so they go out the side door, and I opened the back door and let the dogs went out. Well, we had my sister's black lab. I had a mutt, and then we had the chihuahua. And he came, so they got out the door before I could because he had jumped the fence to the backyard. I was like, oh, goody. I hope the dog gets you down. But he had jumped in our neighbor's fence over into our neighbor's yard. What he didn't know was that not that neighbor, but the neighbor beside him had a dog too. But that dog was in the dog house and everything, but he had a nice long chain. So here the dogs start barking. Then all the dogs start barking. But I was able to get over our next door neighbor's fence. And yes, I threw that to baton again. And, he went down and got back up, but he was running because of the dogs and everything. So at that time, so this was 1985. I'll say 80, 85. Yeah. That's when Neighborhood Watch has started. So y'all in their 50s and whatever, y'all, yep. Neighborhood Watch has started 2 weeks before that happened. Now, in that first meeting, we were told about this peeping Tom and everything to keep an out for him and everything because he'd been in the neighborhood. People saw him, but nobody could catch him. So I was like, so we knew that was going to happen, but we didn't think of it anything. So some I forgot the police were going around or something, knocking on doors for something else. But one of them, the one that was head of the Neighborhood Watch and everything, he came by, was talking to us about have we seen anything or whatever. But they were also telling us that hey, we caught the guy. And I'm like, oh, you did? And they were like, the funniest thing. He goes, these two, he told us that this girl and those two girls were chasing him. Do something at him. I started laughing. I said, that's what he gets for peeping in my window. He goes, oh. He goes, that was y'all's window that he was looking in. He goes, he was trying to tell us a story and everything. And I'm like, really? He goes, how do we know it was the right guy? Because he still has some of the bruises on him. I'm like, well, it's, you have to be willing to say, no, I am not going to take this. No, I'm going to defend myself. No, I'm going to defend my family. This is my home. So I was like, the police officer goes, are you coming up for the police force when you turn 18? I said, well, that's my plan. It was so funny. Because if you're not willing to sit there and do these things and keep yourself safe, they ain't going to happen. People don't like hearing that. Evil's been around ever since the fall of Adam and Eve. So it's just now that we have more ways of hearing about it besides 3 channels. We got Instagram, we got Facebook, we have YouTube. Got your mainstream media. Then you have the other outlets. Then you have, you name it. There is somebody posting something, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, Tumblr. All of them. Somebody is posting something. We all have cell phones now that we can take pictures or we can film something or another. So someone asked me, do I think crime is more prevalent now than it used to be? I don't think so. I just think we have more means of ways. We got all kinds of cable networks and everything. More journalists now than ever before. So there's always a means or way for stuff to be, we'll see it more, we see it more, we see it more. It's always bombarding. Sometimes just turn it off and what's out there. Things happen. My thing is be prepared. Just be prepared physically and mentally and emotionally about it. And spiritually. The Bible does tell us to be prepared. So there's nothing wrong with sitting there and saying to defend yourself. We have the legal right to defend ourselves, and that's through first the Constitution. Know your Bill of Rights. First 10 amendments to the Constitution. Read the Declaration of Independence. Yes, every state has different laws and everything, but the Constitution is there for a reason. They made it so you could defend yourself. Um, you know, every year new laws get put on in the books and everything. So brush up on what's going on. Like I said, we got not only we have constitutional carry now, open carry. That's always been there. But it's like, and stand your ground. Well, we used to not have stand your ground. It was called something else. I can't remember. But now it's stand your ground because what am I do? Y'all see me when I get up on. I can't run up those stairs. I take one step at a time. And maybe if I had to, I could run up the steps. Most of that ain't happening. I've lost around 50 pounds. I'm still not that fast. We were talking about that. Joy and I were talking about that the other day on the phone or texting. And I'm just like, I'm very protective of people who I'm with and everything. I'm always constantly looking around when I go out. And, you know, especially, when you're disabled and you have to use electric carts. everything. So next week, I'm going to about stuff outside the home, and then we'll go into being out in the stores and everything. But I am very protective of my home, my family, my friends. If I'm out hanging with somebody or whatever, look around, because if you sit and watch people, watch and see who's watching who, and you'll be surprised, because we know the cars that go up and down the street. Of course, we're the entrance and exit for one way in and out of this neighborhood, but we know what cars are supposed to be back there behind in the parking lot. Which ones are and which ones are not. And when we see that, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, this is a new car. Where are you going? Yeah, we're gonna look. We're gonna watch, and that's just how it is. One reason that is part is because in Christmas of 2020, Christmas of 2020 or 2021, when both my son and daughter-in-law were working, they worked for a warehouse, and they worked from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sometimes it was 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. So one morning they went to go leave, and there's cops standing at their car shining a flashlight in the car. This is Christmas. And my son goes, "What the are you doing?" He turns around, shines up, because that's my son. He's, if y'all, I know y'all haven't seen him. He is 6'4", and he's, his shoulders are like from here to here. So, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And my daughter-in-law goes, all she could say is, "That's our car." And the cop turns around, shines a flashlight in my son's face. He goes, "You better get it out of my face." He goes, "You have no business being around my car." And the cop just sits there and goes, "Well, there have been a lot of break-ins here lately, and the light was on the car." He goes, "No." My son goes, "No, it wasn't. You just heard me turn my car on because they've got the key fob." He goes, "And that light wasn't on the inside of the car because I don't have it on to have it come on that early in the morning." All right, so that's another key thing we'll do about the outside. When you get in your car at nighttime and you've got the dome light, do you have it on or off? Are you safe with it on? Are you safe with it off? Those are some questions we'll be asking. But this cop was like, asking all kinds of questions. And he goes, "That's my car." He goes, so he turned the car off, he turned the car on and everything. And so the cop finally went to his car, and so they got in the car, and the cop just sat there. We didn't leave. They didn't leave yet. So the cop finally left, and he went up and sat at the entrance up there. So when they went to go pull out, my son saw the police officer still sitting there. He goes, "I'm not falling to that," because then he wants to search the car, and then there was Christmas gifts in the car. They had just got that day. They hadn't brought them in yet. So, oh, thank you, Samlin. So I was like, oh no, see, right there and there, I already knew what that cop was going to do. Well, he didn't know he was on camera. So don't sit there and tell me, yeah, there are good cops, but there are a lot of bad ones too. So he was just up to no good, because our parking lot, I'll show y'all that. If y'all seen some of the videos of the garden and everything, the parking lot, it stops. It doesn't go, our back doesn't go all the way through, because there's a field right there. So you come around here, that's you doing that was, yeah, he was up to no good. And then to sit there and wait for them to leave. Yeah, that was, so my son ended up going the opposite way. So he went through the neighborhood instead of out the main entrance. You want dash cam so bad for crazy reasons like that and my protection? Oh yes. Just save to have them because we got dash cams in the car, the front and the back. Um, yeah, because but they go back and look and see some of the crazy things people do on the road. Because it's like you work hard. You work hard for the things you have. You work hard. You save up money to buy the things that you have. And it's not right for someone to sit there and come in and steal it or break in or try to harm you or anything. That's to me that's wrong. To me, and I know that is wrong. And I have the right to sit there and defend myself and defend my home and defend my property. Oh, it wasn't even Christmas. It was I think it was around Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving, or maybe a couple of days or the week after Thanksgiving. It wasn't even Christmas. It wasn't even a holiday. He was just out there up to no good. And I don't. They got the car number, but they didn't get the badge number or anything because I would have made a report, but we just let it go. So, no reasonable cause whatsoever. Nothing. He was being snooping around other in people's cars to see what he could see. So, and like I said, each state and principalities, your counties and all have different things, how that goes. So sometimes it's good to look up the laws to see hey, is this legal for this to happen? Is it legal for them to do that? Is it legal for them to do that? Now, I was taught if a police officer just walked up to you and said, hey, can I ask you a question? You don't have to answer them anything whatsoever. I had one police officer say, hey, you fit the description about such and such that just happened around the corner. I'm like, really? Um, I was at, and I was like, oh, no, you know what? You're going to have to prove that I fit that description first before I say anything. Because sometimes when you can sit there and defend yourself, you get yourself more into a trap than if you just don't say anything at all. So, and like I said, there's a lot of things that I've learned, different things, what to say, what not to say. And if there's a police officer knocks on your door, you don't have to answer that door. You do not have to open that door whatsoever. And it's like if people knock on your door, you don't know who it is, don't open the door. I don't care if they've got a uniform on. But if you haven't called 911 yourself for medical or anything else, don't open that door. Because when I was doing security in EMS, there's stores, there was a store. You could walk right on in, buy the bag, it says security officer. It doesn't have to, my badges are downstairs, I think. Yeah, they're not up here. Anyway, it just says, all right, here's your badge. Security officer. Now, some companies do put the name of their companies on there, but if you go into a uniform store, they'll have a general badge. You come out and say security officer. Yeah, you buy the pants, the shirt, put that on there, and people, okay, you know, be careful because there are a lot of fake cops out there trying. Yes, they are, especially if they sit there and you get pulled over and you don't know if it is not. Call 911 while you're sitting there. Especially if they start asking you for money. If you pay this ticket right now to me, I can just let you go. That's a huge no-no. So that's a no-no. And there's even bad cops who, do that. But, make sure, you stay safe. Like I said, I can't get to the door fast enough anymore. Forget it. I used to be the one, if somebody knocked on my door and I didn't know who it was, I'd take that door and just, what do you want? That would be, shock them really good. But no, not now. It's like, okay, I'm going to step back. I know I can defend myself better in close quarters, close combat. That's military terms. Close quarters is so yes, up close and personal. Now my cane, well, I got to undo it. This does, and I can push the button and make it smaller. I'll keep that so it's locked. Then you lock it back. So now, I think everybody gets a good idea about the hook. It makes me think of Captain Hook, but you just got an extended arm part. um, yeah, that can work. Um, and get it back down here. So yeah, look around what you have. But first and foremost, make sure everything's secure. Your windows are secure. The doors are secure. The kitchen window, we don't have one of the bars like it's at the living room window, but you can go get a dowel rod and measure your window. But don't get the one that's really thin. You want the one the thick ones. But like if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, ask them if they could cut it to that measurement, and then but kind of give it like a fourth of a way to where you can do it at an angle. So here's your, so you want to do it enough to where you can just at an angle and then slide just like this. Because it's wood, it's going to crack, you're going to hear a noise. You can do that like they were saying, put something that dangles down or whatever and it makes noise. Sometimes, you can be asleep. Now here lately, when I lay down and go to sleep, I'm sleeping. I normally am up at 3 o'clock, and I hear the door close or whatever, and I was like, okay, what did I miss? I'm coming down the steps because usually I'm awake. I can hear all the stuff, but here lately I've been, sound asleep, and it's like then I'll wake up for like an hour or so. I'm like, hey Emily, did I leave? No, I'll look to see if stuff is me. If the car is there, because it's like, okay, I've just been having some really deep sleeps and dreams and everything. So I was like, okay, now, that's happening. All right, so tomorrow nobody goes to work or anything. So you more relaxed. When you know that, okay, nobody has to be up early, you're going to relax and sleep well. And you're in that deep sleep, that REM sleep where you're dreaming everything. Or you can, some things will startle you and wake you up. Sometimes it won't. So just always practice. To me, practice is the best way to do things. especially if you're a deep sleeper and everything. Maybe have your alarm on your phone go off at a certain time, just so that you just get up and look around. Now, if you need to sleep all night, that's fine. I understand that because normally I like to try to get 8 hours of sleep. Ha 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 ha. That's because I don't ever get it at all. So, but what I've done is, I need to take a nap during the day, I will. That's one way you can sit there and train yourself too. If you take a nap during the day, as you're going to sleep, listen to the noises and everything. What would you wake up to? What would you wouldn't wake up to? So now, one more thing about inside, because I'm down here, but upstairs, Anastasia's bedroom, she locks the door. Always done it since we've been in here, because we've trained that way. Um, just for the fact that if they're coming up the steps, the first door they're going to get to is my son and daughter-in-law's room. That's when we're upstairs. That wouldn't be a good thing. He'd be ready for them. But to keep Anastasia safe, she locks her door. We also trained her. If she hears something, different hiding spots that she's supposed to go to. And so we did that, and we still, I'll ask her, do you know how to do such and such? Yes, I do. Where would you go? This happened. Um, I'm a night owl insomnia, so I know all the outside noises every night. I understand that. Um, so that's like tonight we were talking about, she brought up something about, I can't remember exactly what it was. And I asked her, I said, well, remember when used to be outside? Because it was, all right, so it was a thing we saw on Instagram she was talking to me about saying, remember we were outside? When we used to be outside and we had a code word? She goes, yeah. I said, do you remember what that word was? She goes, yeah. So, we said it and everything. I said, because I couldn't get up fast enough to you, but you can run faster to me and everything. So, and I did use that code word a couple of times because, we got people going up and down, up and down. A lot of times, sometimes it's the cars going up and down so fast, so, and there was a few times I said it and she came right on over to me and everything. And, somebody, one time it was someone who was Hispanic and I said the word and she came up to me. He just looked at me like, oh, but like she knows Spanish, so that was one way to say, "Hey, I can understand what you're saying." Um, so that's what we did, and her and I still have code words that we use and everything. Her and her mom and dad have code words that they use, especially if they're in the grocery store or they go to the mall or something, and something happens. They've got signals and code words between them too. Oh yes. So, you know, those are some of the things, like I said, for the inside and everything. So next week, I might do outside. We might have a guest on to talk about other kinds of things you can do on the inside. So I'm still working those details out and everything. But we're gonna do the inside. We've done the inside. Then we'll do outside and everything. And then when you're in your car, what to look for and everything. And then be aware of what's going on around your car. Um, like I said, if you got a gut feeling, turn around, walk back in the store, say, we'll get to all that. And then we'll get to like in the shopping mall or at the grocery store, even at a bank, what to look for. Because, I got a story to go along with the bank. I tell you. So it's all about situational awareness. So thank y'all all so much for being here tonight. Thank you, the TV watchers and those who are in the chat and those who watch the replay. I really enjoy sharing. Yes, some things I had to down some on the words to say because the platform we're on. But that's all right. We're going to get ourselves safe. So thank y'all so much for being here. God bless. Stay safe. We love y'all. And we'll see you next time on Our Treasure Home. Oh my goodness. The bears and the cars. Yeah, I believe it.